It's now Sunday morning and the weatherman is predicting a storm for Wednesday or Thursday. I've managed to track down a walk-on mud berth in Rye that'll cost me just £20 a week. But at 4 knots in my small yacht, that's 3 days sailing away. So I've decided to aim for Littlehampton on the first night, Newhaven on the second, and try to get to Rye late on Tuesday evening, just before the storm hits, but in time to catch the tide up to the town. So, after seeing the yacht races start, I was leaving Chichester Harbour by 11 and heading east, and being pushed along by the incoming tide sloshing around Selsey Bill. The boat is doing just about 2 knots through the water, but the sat-nav usually says closer to 5. So, obviously there's 3 knots of tide running underneath us. The trouble is with this video, it's going to look as though it's sunny all the time because it's the only time I get the camera out. When it's raining or it's frightening, then I put the camera away and batten down the hatches because I don't want to damage the camera or sink the boat. But the sun's shining, boat's moving along quite nicely, more or less keeping the course. Google Earth is a wonderful asset when it comes to planning a journey like this, and it captures all sorts of oddities, such as this power boater doing donuts just outside Littlehampton. And really that's all a power boater can do, donuts. I'm heading for the town quay at a steepish £20 a night. Zooming into the harbour, you can get a real feel for the place, and you can even see the swans. That is amazing. Things can get a bit rough until you get into the lee of the breakwater that guards the entrance to Littlehampton, which is only accessible 3 hours either side of high tide. Not the easiest entrance in the world. Oops, here comes a big wave. Maddest little salt rocks around. The town has been a port since Roman times and was a royal dockyard during the reign of Henry VIII. It once had a huge fort protecting the entrance, and it still has a fort, but it's not protecting anything, because ever since the arrival of the railway in 1860, Littlehampton has had something of a split personality. Part tourist town, part working port. But it looks to me as though the tourists and the weekenders are starting to dominate. The gardens in front of the newly built harbour apartments are straight out of the design books. The detail on the benches and around the buildings, just a little bit too knowingly nautical. Everything looks too well manicured. Right down to the strategically positioned fishing smack. There's now an element of Disney about the place. And there are the swans, just as Google Earth told me there would be. The next morning, after a quiet night, the town takes on a different atmosphere. The boating lake is closed. The crows are on the lookout for any remaining tourist food. The real commercial fishing activity has been reduced to no more than a handful of small vessels. Instead, boats for parties of pleasure fishermen now line the quay. Even at 7 in the morning, they're arriving by the carload and struggling into their waterproofs. Half a mile up the river, you can still see what the town used to be like. There are garages which back straight onto the harbour, and a wharf, and a man with a barrow. This was the place where Open All Hours was filmed. Amazing. But the cleaning trucks have arrived. Fairly soon, Littlehampton will have been polished beyond all recognition. Better get there soon and have a look, before the old town is taken over by a tidal wave of yuppies and second homeowners. They've already got their coffee shops,